Today I'm going to show you a fun fold card. This is something I've seen several times in the past on Pinterest and online, but I've never seen someone make it. And I decided that I would look it up, and I found a tutorial, and I thought the measurements, things weren't just coming together quite right. So I ended up making my own instructions, and I have a great visual aid to show you at the end, and I'll also be posting that when I do the blog for this card. But I'm excited how this turned out, and so I'm going to show you first, and then we'll make one together. Hi Jackie and Pat, thanks for being with me today. Hope you're all having a good week. Oh, no, I can't get it out. What the problem is, it's a little snug in here because I have a fat embellishment on. But this card is not going through the mail. It's for one of my nieces who lives just a few minutes from me. But this is called, when I looked it up, the name that I found was Sunday Box Card. So I don't know if it's like a collection box. I don't know where that name came from. But you can call it whatever you like. So I guess we'll just call it the folding box card. So it does fold flat. As you saw, it fits in a standard size envelope. There is a space for writing, but you'll want to do that before you actually put the box together, or leave that part out until you're ready to send it. Okay. But I thought this would be a really fun way to give a gift card, maybe for Mother's Day or a graduate, a birthday. Both of my nieces have birthdays. Avery's was the 14th and Allison's is next week, I believe the 20th, if I remember correctly. I have nieces, nephews, friends. April's a little crazy with birthdays. So let me show you how to make this. I'm going to set that to the side for now. And I've started by scoring, but I want to go over that with you. And what you're going to see on my blog later this week with this video demonstration and the sample I just showed you is this. And then I'll have step-by-step instructions. But I do want to go through it with you today. So I have to get my cheat sheet to the side ready here. So you'll definitely want to use your paper trimmer, and you do need the scoring blade on it as well, the scoring tool on it as well. You're going to start with a piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 by 10 inches. So you'll be cutting off 1 inch on the long side, which I've already done. So you can see here, I like to use this for quick measuring. Double check my measurements as I'm working. So 8.5 by 10 inches. Oh, this is 10 1/8. I need to trim off. Let me see which side, because that was one of the errors on the, actually it was a bigger error than that, but whatever. So yeah, 10 inches. So 8.5 by 10, you'll cut off 1 inch on the long side. Extend the arm, and I'll set that over there for now. What you're going to do is start with your cardstock in the vertical position, and you're going to score at one. Oops, darn it, I just tore it. Hold on. No problem, we'll go again. Okay, so cutting off that 1 inch so that I now have 8.5 by 10 inches. With it in the vertical position, I want to score at 1.5, and then I'm going to scoot down here to 7 inches. I've also got my little cheat sheet here. And then you want to turn your cardstock to the horizontal position, also known as landscape. and you're going to score at 2 inches, at 3.5, at 6.5, and then at 8 inches. Okay. I also will give you all of the measurements for those add-on pieces of cardstock and designer series paper. So this is what you have so far. The next thing that you need to do is use a pencil, and I'm not sure how well you can see this, but these 2 score lines that make up the largest rectangle in the center, you want to measure between those, so it's basically 3 inches, so 1.5 inches. The other way you could note that is by saying, and this might be a little bit easier for you, is just at 5 inches. You want to make just a little tick mark it there. You want to flip your cardstock around, and you're going to do the same thing. Now for this next part, hold on to that pencil. I'm going to mark these 2 intersections of my score lines. And I'm going to do that at the top and at the bottom. And now what I'm going to do is make score lines from that 5-inch little mark to this corner and 5-inch mark to this corner. And then I'll do the same thing here. So this is how I put it in my trimmer to score it. What I like to do is turn my paper so that I have that center point basically right in the scoring path, or that cutting path, that groove there. And then since you have that bottom one, you can just move your paper like this and adjust it until you see, and again, you might have to adjust that bottom mark, but you'll want to see both of those little pencil marks in there, and then you just start scoring right there. If you go a wee bit beyond that corner point, that's okay. You don't want to go too far, of course, but if you're, just a little bit behind it, no problem. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I want that center point right in the groove, and I want the other dot that I'm going to also be in that groove. So now I've made these 2 scoring lines. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This is a nice thing to have this clear cutting guard, or whatever you want to call it, or cutting guide or scoring guide, because we can see right through there to make sure that those little pencil marks are right where we need them to be, lined up right in the groove there. Okay, so now I've got the other 2. So now what I need to do is cut some pieces away. And I'm going to refer to my handy guide that I made. And the first thing I'm going to do, this is what helps me out, is I'm going to make an X on each of the 4 corners. That just means those are pieces I'm giving away or getting rid of. The next thing I'm going to do is where I have adhesive here, I'm just going to put a little A there for adhesive. Okay. And now this guide shows you where we need to cut. So we want to come across from the outsides, just like that, and then we want to cut these 1.5 inch marks. You want to be careful that you're cutting the 2 1/2 inch lines on the bottom and on the top that are the first ones in from the outside. I started cutting here, so that's why I decided I'll have my handy guide, and then when I make this card, all I have to do is put in here. Now, to know where I want to cut, I'm just going to put a little line right here and right here. By putting this here, I know that I have to cut from here to here and here. I know that I will not be cutting there based on my guide and my little marks that I'm making to help me out. So I'm just going to do that also. Sometimes doing these little extra steps help. It's easier to do these little extra steps and know for sure where you're cutting rather than to goof like I did one time and then have to cut your cardstock and do all the scoring and everything again. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start with the longer lines that I need to cut. You can cut this with the paper trimmer, which is my preference, but I know some people, lots of people have a little bit of a hard time with that, and therefore just do the cutting with their paper snips. Going to do the same thing on the opposite sides. Now I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4 so that I can get rid of these 4 corners that have the X on. Also, always make your marks in pencil. Most of these will not be showing. Those A's will not be showing. I think I'm okay with my dots, but since I've marked everything in pencil, and here you can see I marked on the parts that were either being thrown away or would be hidden instead of on the main parts. But as long as you use a pencil, you can always erase what you don't need. Oh, shoot. Darn, I wasn't supposed to cut that. Okay, this is what we're gonna do because I don't want to start over. And I don't even know where my Scotch tape is at the moment. So this is what I'm doing. So do as I say, not as I do right now, okay? Even with my marks there. I guess I'm not usually talking to other people though. Or not as much as I am when I'm crafting alone. Okay, so let me see. Nope. I did not need that one there. Okay, I'm just gonna keep that one there to make sure it's plenty sturdy for me. Okay, so that, yep, that will suffice. Okay, now you want to go ahead and do your scoring. Now this is, so cut first and then score. Every other line on here is a score line. Only those thick ones were cutting lines. And think of this as being the front side. Okay, this is going to be the center of your card, and these 2 flaps will be on the top. So what you're going to do is fold this one in and then the flap out. And same thing on the other side. Fold this in with the flap out. So you have that part of the box. And do you see that versus my sample? Now, for this, here's where you can flip it over. You can fold those back, and those are going to be hidden back here. Okay, now you need to do these angles. Okay, the angles will be folding in. So I'm just going to pull this over like that and push it back out. Pull over the next one and burnish that angled score line. And then the same thing on the bottom. All right, so this is what we have so far. Now I've marked the A's for my adhesive. I'm going to work on just the left side first. And what I'm going to do is now start forming a box. So I'm going to fold the sides up and put that little flap behind. And when you do it, make sure that you can easily fold down this big flap. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, this is what it looks like from underneath. Okay, and to make sure those are real secure, I just fold that big flap down and press together. Obviously that big flap is not going to adhere because there's no tape there, but that helps these adhere. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and you can see that those little marks I made to assist me, the A's and whatnot, are being hidden. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, kind of position those in place, and you want to make sure this edge right here is just below, barely below that score line, so you can fold it over nicely and have it flat, and then secure those once again. So this is what you have. You're going to push the corners in gently, and then you're going to collapse everything at once on their fold lines. Okay, did you see that? You're going to push these points in, and you just fold everything flat. You may want to go over all those folds one more time. Okay, and this is what you have. What do you think so far? Let's see who's on. Pat and Fran, Susan, Wendy, I think I missed somebody, Amelia, Sylvia. Thanks for all of you for being here. And thank you to those of you who shared either before, during, or will share after this live. All right, so now I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to give you the dimensions for decorating. Now this is my first one. I am going to make my second one a little bit different because, you know, that's just how I am. That's how I roll. I like to change things up a little bit to show you that there's more than one way of doing some of these fun things. So my outside panels will have 2 layers, just like on the original. And I've already pre-cut these. You'll need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then you'll need 2 pieces that measure 1.5 by 5 inches. And again, I will put these measurements on the blog post. It'll probably be a few days till this gets posted, or at least a couple days. Same thing on this. And now I'm ready to adhere these to the card front. Nice thing about this multi-purpose glue, it gives me a little time to work with it so that I can move my pieces around so they're nice and straight. Okay, if you feel like you need to put it flat, just close the box and do that. Same thing with the other side. Okay, I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay. Now this, know that this is my mistake. This is that place I cut. So obviously on yours you would not have that, any tape or anything there. I can remove this bottom one, but this, I'll probably just go over it with some ink or something and cover that up. Now I'm making my inside a little bit different. Here's the one on the original card, original box card. And again, you might want to make your center, but not actually adhere it until you're ready to sign and send it off. Okay? Also, if you're stamping, you know, you want to do that before your box is put together, or in which case you would, you know, mount it like right here, have it put together, or before it's put together, I'm sorry. But I would just like to put mine together. And what I'm going to do, and you can always just lay that centerpiece in there. And I decided I love this print so much that I feel the need to use as much of it as I can on this card. I usually mix things up a little bit more, but this is the third time this week that I think that I've used this. At least the second, right? So thank you for indulging me. Now I'm cut a square that measures 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So it fits right on there. And I just thought that would be kind of fun and decorative. But before I do that, I am going to stamp on here. I've previously cut out an old olive oval. I believe that's the third largest one. And I'm going to stamp happy birthday on that. Pull this out real quick. I'm going to stamp happy birthday on that oval. Just like that. I'm using early espresso because that's one of the coordinating colors in this designer series paper rather than black. And then I'm going to, for the inside of the card, where'd my little square go, I'm going to stamp this sentiment in terracotta tile. The sentiment says, "I'm glad it's your birthday, so I can tell you how wonderful you are." Okay, and both of these stamps, these sentiments, come from Bonanza Buddies. I'm needing lots of birthday cards in the next few weeks, so I pulled the birthday sentiments from Bonanza Buddies. Now I'm ready to put this on here. It's not quite dry, so let's give it a moment. And you could put it anywhere you want. I'm going to put it right in the center. And then, like I said, when I'm ready to sign it, I will do that, you know, to Allison from Aunt Mary or whatever. And then I will put some multi-purpose glue on the back and adhere it to the inside of that card. And now on this one, you can see that when I pull it out of the envelope, it popped right open, and that's perfectly fine. However, I'm going to give you an alternative way to close this, and that is by making a belly band. So I took a coordinating piece of cardstock, and it measures 12 inches by 1 inch, and it's from the same pack of Designer Series paper. Now this really is going to be too big. See how much it overlaps? But it's really okay. I'd rather have it overlap a good amount than not enough. But if you feel like you need to trim it, you'll probably need it to be about 9 inches. I would say 9.5 inches for sure, because the width of your card is 4 1/4. So times 2, it has to go around twice, would be 8.5, and then you want it to overlap some. And I always like it to overlap, and what I'm going to do is just trim mine here, because when I put this piece on my belly band, that little seam will be covered up. Okay, so now I'm ready to add a little glue here. Be careful that you're not adding so much glue that it's going to be oozing out onto your card. And my belly band is snug, but I wouldn't say it's tight. Okay, so you want it to be snug so that it'll hold nicely, but you want it to be loose enough that it'll easily slide. My fingers aren't working today. That it will easily slide up and down, just like that, okay? I'm having a little trouble with my right hand. It's not carpal tunnel, it's actually a tendinitis, so it's in here, and sometimes it'll swell and it'll just kind of cramp up and not want to move like I like it to. But heaven forbid I should stop paper crafting, right? Can't do it. I can't do it, and I don't want to. So if I'm, and it does hurt, it is painful, but so if you think I'm moving awkwardly or something, I probably am. Okay, so I have that on my belly band now. And again, it'll slide right off. And I'm just going to finish off that belly band with some of these flowers I die cut from the Ornate Borders dies collection. Ornate Borders, part of the same suite. It has these fun little holes in the flowers. And they're going to get covered up on the back by these little dimensionals. but that's okay because I'm going to put an embellishment on the front to decorate the flowers. There are 3 different sizes. So I'm going to do something like this. There. I'm going to put this medium one over here to kind of balance out the large and the small ones that I'm putting on the left. Just like that. Okay. Now there are lots of choices for finishing off those centers. The gold gilded gems would be great, but I decided I was going to use some pearls. And I have taken, now remember this yellow in this paper is a new in color that's yet to come out, and it's called Bumblebee. So other than the yellow we see in this designer series paper, we don't have any other Bumblebee ink, markers, cardstock, embellishments, nothing just yet. But I realized that if I used the, this is the Dark Mango Melody Stampin' Blends, like I did here. Okay, we have these flower centers, which are really more daffodil color. I just went over one with the Dark Mango Melody Stampin' Blends. So I did the same thing to these tiny pearls that I have. I just colored them twice with the Dark Mango Melody. I did each one, let it dry for a few seconds, and then did it again to get a nice rich color. So now I will use my take your pick tool. I just put a brand new putty refill end. So I'm good to go for quite a while. And I'm going to put 3 of these pearls on each of the flower centers, like a cluster, just like the little holes are there. That's something kind of fun and different than I normally would do. Normally I would just put, you know, one embellishment right in the center of the flower, but hey, it's all about trying new things when you're home so much, right? That is one of the blessings of being on this stay-at-home order. I am trying new things. I had a semi-successful Zoom meeting with some of my new team members last night. I should say it was successful, but the screen sharing didn't go well. But thankfully, somebody that was watching was able to screen share what I wanted to use, the demonstrator site. And so that helped me out a lot, and we got through it very well. And she's going to get together with me over the phone and walk me through that, since I didn't have that part of it down. But just like this too, something I've seen in the past, but I've never tried. I thought, you know what? Now's the time. Try new things. Make it with Mary on Monday mornings here on Stampin' Peace VIP, 11 a.m. And I've decided that each week that I do that Make It with Mary Monday, and I give you that little list of cardstock and DSP to bring to your craft table when you watch the live, I will be introducing new card layouts each Monday. Okay, because again, that's something, I'm always seeing fun card layouts, and I thought, well, this is a great time for us to try new things. So that's what is going to be happening in this group on Mondays. Okay, so there you have it. My box card with the belly band. I don't know why I can't push it off the top. And then the original. I don't have a belly band. I suppose you could do Velcro or something if you really wanted to, but that's just not me. I don't do that. And besides, it can stand up and look pretty on somebody's table. I will let you know that both of our daisy punches, the large and the medium daisy, coordinate so nicely with many of the prints in the Ornate Gardens Designer Series paper pack. And remember, every item in the Ornate Garden product suite is available right now for both demonstrators and customers to order, and it will be in the new annual catalog beginning in June. And you can buy the whole product suite now, or you can pick and choose what you want from that suite and buy just those items separately if you wish. I'm trying to think. I had a new class to go that went out in the email this morning. It's called Dress to Impress, and it comes with a baker's dozen. Does everybody know what a baker's dozen is? This is something my mom and dad would use when we were little. For the number 13, it comes with a baker's dozen of cards in that class to go. And I'll be highlighting that, of course, on my blog and Facebook groups. And look for this to be on my blog with complete instructions, dimensions, and a visual aid to help you. Yep, Fran, you've heard that. Okay. I didn't know if that was really common or not. And I think that's it for today. Any questions about anything? Questions, comments? I'm looking here. Oh, you're welcome. I'm always happy to share. Always happy to share. It's the best part of my job. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and do something fun for yourself. Bye-bye.